The California housing market is ever changing. So in today's video, I'm going to share exactly what's happening right now at the city and county-wide level because of course every market's different here in the state of California. We're going to talk about home prices, housing inventory, home sales, and much, much more based on my own analysis of the California Association of Realtors data. Also, I'll share some slides from them as well. So according to them, it says California's housing market continues to face headwinds as lingering tariff wars, ongoing economic uncertainty, and elevated rates undermined buyer confidence and dampened home buying demand in May. So just as a whole for the state, if you guys missed my separate video, I posted that about a week ago regarding what's happening at the statewide level. I went into great detail regarding all the trends we're seeing right now. But basically what we're seeing right now is more inventory, sales at low levels, and home prices actually going down. We're actually seeing more counties in California that are experiencing decreases in prices from a year ago. I'll describe those counties here in a little bit. But first, I want to share this. Here's a snapshot about what's going on in the market. I shared this in my previous video. I'll provide a link below if you guys want to take a look at that. I went over a lot of analysis regarding prices especially. So anyways, I want to share this because every market's different. They break down California in major regions. So for the state as a whole, existing home sales, that excludes new homes, and we're only talking about single family houses, sales decreased by 4%, despite inventory up by more than 40%. Also, the median sold price, this is based on closed home sales for the month of May this year, was at $900,170, a decrease of 0.9% year over year. Now, it's great to see, let's just say, if you're a home buyer, it's great to see prices down from 1 year ago. Also, mortgage rates are also lower today than they were a year ago as well. So technically, it's more affordable to buy a house in California than 12 months ago. However, at $900,000, this is only $10,000 shy of the all-time record high that was set back in April this year. So even though prices are down by nearly 1%, we're only down by about $10,000 from last month all-time record high. So my question for you guys, is it a big deal that prices decreased by 0.9% given the fact that we're not too far less than the all-time record highs from a month ago? Having said that, this decrease of 0.9% is the first yearly decrease since June of 2023, which obviously is noteworthy because we don't want to see prices absolutely skyrocket and for housing affordability to get worse and worse and worse. We are seeing more inventory, which is good news for home buyers, but also for home sellers, be very cautious not to overprice your home. Also, like I mentioned in my previous video, this 0.9% decrease is much worse than the average gain of 9% that we should be seeing this time of year. That's the historical change since 2010. Meanwhile, the month supply is at 3.8 months, a big increase from a year ago, up by 46%. Also did some digging for you guys, looking at the month supply for all the major regions. And of course, in California as well, going back 25 plus years. The average month supply back in May of 2019 was at 3.2 months. So right now we're at 3.8 months. So the month supply is higher compared to pre-COVID levels. Also, to provide some context, during the Great Recession, this number was around 16 months. Now it's only 3.8 months. Homes are also taking longer to sell, about 21 days to sell a house on average in California. So again, looking at these numbers here, month supply 3.8 months, days in market at 21 days, and sales down by 4%. Let's have a look at how this compares to other regions, or the regions I should say. In SoCal, sales tanked down by 7.6%, quite a bit worse than the 4% decrease for the state as a whole. And prices, though, are up by 0.9%. The month supply at 3.9 months, days in market at 25 days, and this ratio is more or less in line with the statewide average. However, like I mentioned, I did some digging for you guys. The average May from 2017 through 2019, this is May 17, May 18, and May 19, is at 3.3 months on average. So at 3.9 months in SoCal, That's above pre-pandemic levels. All right, let's have a look at the Central Coast. Sales tanked down by 8.4%, yet prices are up by 6.2%, quite a bit higher compared to the statewide average, down by nearly 1%. Days in the market and also this sale price to list price ratio at 98.9%. This means out of all the houses that did sell in May, they sold for about 1% less than the seller's final list price. So let's talk about this 4.1 months. The average May from 2017 through 19 is at 3.8 months. So at 4.1 months, this is a little bit higher compared to pre-COVID levels. In the Central Valley, sales fell by 5.2%, yet prices are up by 0.6%. Days in the market and this ratio is more or less in line with the state as a whole. But at 3.5 months, this is way higher compared to the average May in 17, 18, and 19 at 2.7 months. Let's now have a look at the Bay Area. The Bay Area is softening much more compared to other regions. Sales fell by 8.2%, and prices are down by 3.8% from May of 2024. And by the way, the Bay Area represents around 22% of all home sales in May. So the big driver overall for the state as a whole, decreasing by 0.9%, is due to the fact that prices based on the median sold price in the Bay Area decreased by nearly 4%. And one of the reasons why prices are down year over year is because we're at a 2.9 month supply. Historically speaking, going back to 2017 through 19, it's at a 2.1 month supply. Now it's at 2.9 months. That's nearly a 50% increase year over year. Now in the far north, sales rose by 0.5%, yet prices are down by 3.8%. What happens in the far north, though, really does not impact overall for the state as a whole. I'll share with you guys the percentage of sales by region. In the far north, just going by my memory of researching this video for you guys, in the far north, it only represents around 2% of all home sales in May, whereas the Bay Area is at 22%. So what happens in the far north, because there's a lack of sales, looking at the state as a whole, these stats here really don't impact the overall stats for California. Also, just like these other regions, the far north has more inventory from pre-COVID. Back then, it was at 4.5 months. Now it's at 5.3 months. All right, let's talk about sales. And like I mentioned in my other video, sales in California had the largest yearly decrease in about 17 months. That's a 4% decrease year over year. What really caught my attention though was this right here, sales decreasing by 5.1% in May compared to April. So a big decrease compared to the previous month. And in May, you tend to have a big increase in sales. Yet this year, we saw a big decrease month over month. Okay, talking about sales by region, here we go. So sales by region, the far north only at 2% and the Bay Area at 22%. So one of the main drivers of the decrease in prices is from the Bay Area, because around a quarter of all home sales are located in the Bay Area. Also, having said that, as you guys can see, basically if you add up the Central Valley and the Bay Area, it's around the approximate total percentage of all home sales in SoCal. But again, in SoCal, prices actually increased by 0.9%. Therefore, the main driver of sales decreasing by 1% is really from the Bay Area, tanking by 3.8%. All right, talking about home prices for the state as a whole, again, California's median home sold price has first yearly decrease in about 23 months. The last time that happened was back in June of 2023. But overall, just looking at the growth rate in prices, especially in the last half of 2021 for the whole year, and also in 22, the first half of the year, big increase in prices. And also look at 09 through 2011, we're looking at around $300,000 for your average home price, or I should say the median sold price, and now it's at $900,000. So basically 3 times the levels we saw back right after the Great Recession. All right, let's talk about inventory levels, and also I'm going to share how each of the counties fared regarding prices and home sales here towards the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. So inventory in May this year was at 3.8 months, a fairly significant rise from what we saw 1 year ago at 2.6 months. This is, like I mentioned, higher than pre-COVID levels at 3.8 months because the average May, looking at 17, 18, and 19, is only 3 months supply. Now it's at 3.8 months. However, it's still far less than around the Great Recession when home prices absolutely cratered, right? So 07, 08, we're looking at a month supply over 10 months, and then it peaked around 7, 8 at over a 16 months supply. So that was a recipe for prices to absolutely crater, and now we're only at 3.8 months. It has been steadily increasing, but we're basically not too far higher compared to pre-COVID levels, but obviously way lower compared to the Great Recession. So when someone comments and says the California housing market's crashing, really? I mean, it's not even close to what we saw during the Great Recession. It is increasing, but not crashing by any means regarding this stat here. All right, also looking at active listings, which is the total number of homes for sale in California that increased to the highest level in over 5 years. May 2025, the highest readings we've had since late 2019. That obviously is great news if you're a home buyer looking to buy a house. You have more options to choose from. Also, if you're looking to sell your home, you definitely have to be cognizant about your neighbors and the prices they're asking for and the prices they sold for, because there's a lot more inventory. Therefore, as a home seller, you have a lot more competition amongst other home sellers, right? And so, of course, buyers can write offers that are not as aggressive as they once were back in 2020 through 2022 due to a sharp increase of inventory. And I think I mentioned that right here. Yeah, there's 48% more houses for sale this May compared to May of 2024. This big increase of inventory is from a low level of sales and from more homeowners listing their houses for sale. That's called a new listing. New listings rose by 22% from the same time frame in 2024. All right, let's have a look at prices and sales from last month and 12 months ago. Let's first talk about these major regions. So looking at this, again, prices are down by 0.9%, sales down by 4%. Look at condos and townhomes. So what is going on there? Because prices based on closed home sales in May decreased by 2.2%, basically twice as bad as single family houses. Sales also cratered, down by 12% compared to a 4% decrease for single family houses. Like I mentioned as well, prices in the Bay Area are down by 3.8%. Also in the far north, they also fell by 3.8%. But again, the higher share of sales in the Bay Area at 22% is way higher compared to the 2% share in the far north. So the main driver, because this is the only major region in which prices fell, excluding the far north, the main driver of sales decreasing this year or this month from a year ago is really from the Bay Area, decreasing by nearly 4%. Now, looking at all the counties that the California Association of Realtors tracks, and they track about 53 counties, there's actually 22 of them are actually down compared to 12 months ago. So their median sold price has decreased in 22 of the 53 counties tracked by the KAR, the California Association of Realtors. Regarding sales year over year, out of those 53 counties, 36 recorded decrease in home sales compared to 12 months ago. So let's have a closer look at the San Francisco Bay Area. Look at this. I mean, the only areas or counties in which prices increased were Marin, San Francisco, and Santa Clara. In contrast, San Mateo decreased by 8.3%, Napa down by 6.8%. We're also seeing big declines over 10% regarding sales in Alameda County, Contra Costa County, and Santa Clara. Santa Clara decreased by nearly 18%. Pretty wild. And also the most expensive county in California, though, despite this decline of 8.3%, is in San Mateo. Look at that, $2.2 million, not too far higher compared to the 2.1 million we're seeing in Santa Clara. In SoCal, Imperial, Orange County, Riverside are also down year over year regarding prices. And Orange County saw a huge decline in sales, down by 16% from May of 2024. Anyone live in Monterey or look at the market there? Let us know what you're seeing there, because this is pretty eye-opening here. Down 14% in prices, and sales cratered down by 20%. I'm guessing that there could be a mix in sales here. Maybe in May last year, there was more expensive properties that sold then, and May this year, more affordable houses selling there. That could impact overall their median sale price. This does not mean that if you own a home in Monterey or any of these counties that your home value decreased by this much. We're only talking about closed home sales. In the Central Valley, of course, feel free to pause and screenshot. In Sacramento, in the Central Valley, we're at 550,000. That's a decrease of 0.9%, but really, is that a big deal? We're talking about $5,000. 1 year ago, it was 555,000. Sales decreased by 6.4%. Here's the far north. You guys want to pause and screenshot. A lot of these figures tend to fluctuate quite a bit, such as Plumas County. Look at that, prices down by 24%. A lot of these counties have a low level of sales, and therefore, because of that, the mix in sales can really change these percentages on a month-to-month basis, or also year over year as well. Also looking at these other counties, again, feel free to pause and screenshot. Prices are flat in El Dorado County, yet sales rose by 13%. And also in Yolo and Yuba County, prices there increased by about 5%, yet sales decreased by more than 17% year over year. With that said, if you guys got any value out of today's video, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Of course, if you guys want a real estate agent referral, then check out my new website, which is realestateteamfinder.com. I just revamped that, so please check that out if you guys want to get connected to the best agent in your neck of the woods. With that said, I appreciate you guys so much for watching today's video. And if you are still watching today's video, here's a virtual high five. Have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video.